Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Neese. It is the 20th of November, 2025, getting close to Thanksgiving. Welcome to Hotspot Weather, where we take a look at a few of the weather hotspots across the country. And hey, we've got a little bit of weather controversy going on right now with the potential for this big cold air outbreak. I'll be talking about that here in just a moment. And look, I know there are a lot of weather channels here on YouTube you could be visiting. I appreciate you spending some time right here with me on Hotspot Weather. Where are those weather hotspots? Well, we've got at least a chance of a few severe thunderstorms across parts of Texas, a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather on this Thursday. And then as we head into the next few days, we are going to be seeing that pattern shift. The timing is not exact. The models continue to kind of waffle back and forth, but the overall trend will be for it to be turning colder as we head through the next few days. Here is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for severe weather. Again, a level 1 out of 5 on this day, the 20th of November, Thursday, across parts of Texas and Oklahoma. This was a system that we watched come out of the Four Corners, and we're seeing those thunderstorms off and on throughout the day across Texas and Oklahoma. Some of those could contain some gusty winds and hail, a very low, non-zero, but low threat for an isolated tornado. As we head into tomorrow, Friday, to round out the work week, a chance of mainly just general thunderstorms from the Gulf Coast up into the Ohio Valley with that same system, but it's weaker tomorrow than today. And then a chance for some general thunderstorms across the south from South Carolina all the way back into parts of Arizona and New Mexico as we head into Saturday. But let's talk more about this chance for a cold air outbreak as we head through the next few days. We'll start off with the jet stream, and the jet stream really controls the flow of cold air across the country, and it tends to be more active this time of the year as the seasons are trying to change, and we start to see more of a battle between the cold air to the north and the warm air to the south. And we've seen very warm temperatures across the south. Now, Texas, because of the rain, we're not going to be as warm today. And as that system moves east, we are going to see a little bit of a wind shift. So temperatures will be cooling slightly as we go through the next few days. But after 80s to near 90 through parts of Texas, lots of 80s, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia for the middle of the week yesterday. We're still going to be warm, very warm in the 80s across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia today. But again, the general trend will be for us to see some slightly cooler air move in. The strongest part of the jet stream is up to the north where we see the strongest wind fields. But notice there's basically two branches of the jet. There's one along the U.S.-Canadian border. That is for now keeping the Arctic air locked up to the north. The southern branch of the jet stream will bring in some cooler Pacific air, but nothing like we would see when the two branches merge together into one and then dive south. That is what allows for some of the coldest air of the winter to come in. It does appear we are going to see the two branches merge into a single branch as we head out of November into December, and that does set the stage for some very cold air. Now, I'll put this into motion for you, and really anytime you see one of these little waves like this come through these little areas of energy, you get chances for scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. This is as we head into Friday across the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. That's where we had that risk of just some general thunderstorms. There's another bowling ball of a low across parts of Southern California, and that will be weakening and pushing off toward the east as we head in through the weekend and into the beginning of next week. Now, with this kind of pattern, we are not going to be seeing any Arctic air invasions as long as the jet stream looks like that. It's just not a cold pattern. We are going to be seeing cooler than we were at the middle of the week yesterday when we were in the 80s again across the deep south and across parts of Texas and Oklahoma. But we have to get that merger. And as we head into the week of Thanksgiving, notice how those two branches of the jet stream have merged into one. That does set the stage for some colder air as we get these troughs or these dips in the jet stream moving across the eastern part of the country especially. That will allow colder air to infiltrate the eastern part of the country, and we are going to likely see a pattern shift from very warm, above average temperatures to back to average or below average. And because of this, you hear the stratospheric warming that's happening over the North Pole right now, and what that can create is a displacement of the polar vortex, which does give a better chance of the polar vortex affecting the United States this wintertime. We saw one lobe of it affect us a couple of weeks ago, even in November, that did set record cold, although it was very brief. It was an in and out shot. So the overall pattern would support more in the way of cold air and potentially very cold air outbreaks as we work through December into January. Is it going to be the worst ever? Probably not. Is it anything that we haven't seen before? We have seen these types of events before. Now, this does look like it's going to be on the extreme side, and so we'll have to watch, because of the pattern, for some of these cold air outbreaks this winter to be colder than we have seen over the last few winters. But in the end, the weather happens in cycles. As long as you prepare for it, as long as you know it's coming, you can get ready for it, and it's not going to be the end of the world. We're seeing some back and forth, some fighting in the weather community. Some people are saying that some people are overwarning and hyping. Others are saying you don't need to do that. And the reality is, this pattern does look like it's going to be setting up. The exact timing, exact how cold is it actually going to be, that's all to be determined yet as we get closer and we work through the wintertime. Just know the pattern would support some pretty cold air outbreaks during the winter, but we expect cold weather in the wintertime. But just keep in tune, stay in tune, pick your favorite weather source or your 3 or 4 or 5 weather sources that you really like. Stick with them this winter. And then as these cold air outbreaks happen and we can get a better determination of how severe they're going to be, you can actually be prepared. All right, so taking a look at the surface features across the country, well, we do have this system over Texas we've been highlighting with that level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather. That area of low pressure pulls off toward the east, and it actually goes to the northeast and weakens over Missouri as we head in through the night, Thursday night into Friday. So the most active weather will likely be, over the next couple of days, will likely be over Texas and Oklahoma on the 20th today, and then a little weaker. But it does spread rainfall from the plains back into northern Missouri, back into the Ohio Valley as we head into the middle of the day around noon on Friday. More rainfall across Southern California. You've had a lot of rain. Just look out for localized areas of heavy rain. Arctic air continuing to stay bottled up to the north through the end of the work week into the beginning of the weekend. However, we are seeing a little bit of a secondary shot of some cold air like we saw at the beginning of the week across New England. Temperatures are going to be cold, could be some flurries, but right now it doesn't look like any overall active winter weather that would be very disruptive, except for some of the higher elevations of upstate New York and maybe into parts of Vermont. A second storm system, though, after the weekend comes out from California back into the plains. More showers and thunderstorms. Will these be severe? We'll have to watch. There definitely will be a chance for at least some thunderstorms as we head into Sunday night and Monday. And this is across Oklahoma, Texas, back into Missouri. That system also will kind of fade away and weaken, though, into just a great big elongated area of rain that stretches from Canada back down into Ohio, Tennessee, and Louisiana. This is on Monday night into Tuesday of next week. Now, I do want to show you this. I'm going to fast forward off into Wednesday and Thursday. This is Thanksgiving. This is the day before and Thanksgiving. Notice the big surge of cold air as we head into Wednesday. This is Wednesday at noon. Starting to see more in the way of snowfall, Montana, up into parts of Idaho. Also, maybe some snow showers for the Great Lakes. But the cold air is starting to come down into the Mississippi River Valley and into the Tennessee River Valley. And for Thanksgiving Day itself, generally the eastern part of the country and northern tier is cooler than we were this week. Not especially cold down into areas like Tennessee, but seasonably cold, maybe just a little bit below average, and much cooler though Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, where we were in the 80s, will be in the 50s and 60s, only in the 40s across Tennessee, 30s, and temperatures below freezing, or at least in the 30s for the Great Lakes region back into the northern plains. That is for Thanksgiving Day itself. But right now, precipitation-wise, only those snow showers across parts of the Rockies and some rain across parts of Florida. It's going to be windy across parts of the country with this system on the backside of it. But if you're going to be traveling right now, stay tuned, but right now for Thanksgiving, it doesn't look like there's going to be any major storm system that would be greatly disrupting travel on Thanksgiving Day at this point. I also want to give you a little preview too as we go way forward into time. A week from this weekend, there are indications that we start to see a big surge of Arctic air. This is around the 5th and 6th of December. It does look like December. We are seeing a different weather pattern. All right. Here's the way that the forecast models, this is the HRRR, the high resolution rapid refresh model. Showers and thunderstorms in waves will be affecting areas like Dallas, Waco, Abilene, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, back into parts of Little Rock, Arkansas. This is by the time we get into the overnight hours. So this is the daytime view of those storms. Some of these storms could be severe. Gusty winds and hail will be the main threat. Cannot rule out an isolated tornado. And then as we head into Friday deeper, the showers and thunderstorms weaken, but they do move off toward the east. Let's take a closer look at that. This will be for Thursday, the 20th, most of the rain, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, into Missouri. We will see some scattered showers, mainly in the form of just rainfall, but can't rule out some embedded thunder, but really not looking at a severe risk across Kentucky and Tennessee on Thursday, the 20th. That's back to the west. As we head into Friday, out of Thursday into Friday, more waves of rain and some thunderstorms. This is Friday, right about middle of the afternoon. We have thunderstorms. Again, right now, Storm Prediction Center is not highlighting any of those as severe. We're not going to have a lot of instability for these showers, and the system is weakening, so the dynamics are weakening as well. But could see a strong thunderstorm or two, just not expecting widespread severe. And that rain spreads back into parts of Missouri, St. Louis, back into Kansas City. Then that shifts off toward the east as we go through the beginning of the weekend. And most of the weekend, most of Saturday and Sunday for areas around Nashville, Memphis, back to Paducah, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, should be dry after some morning rainfall on Saturday. All right, let's take a look at the temperature pattern. Still no big surges of Arctic air through the weekend. That stays bottled up to the north, except for another brief shot of it across the New England states. Most of the eastern part of the country, as that storm system moves in, continues to be fairly mild and humid. Temperatures will be in the 60s and 70s for Thursday and Friday across the deep south. And you could see 40s and 50s up to the north from the Ohio Valley up into the plains. Now, as we head through the weekend, slightly cooler across the deep south behind that system, but it's Pacific air, it's not Arctic air. And then as we head into Monday, still fairly mild with temperatures in the 60s on Monday and Tuesday from Nashville down to Birmingham. Still a little cooler than we were this week across parts of Texas, where we'll be in the 50s and 60s by next week. But as we work through Wednesday into Thursday, notice how the cold air is starting to affect the northern tier and the eastern parts of the country. We're going to be seeing these are highs only around freezing for places like Chicago, and some single digits for the northern plains as a little bit of that Arctic air really gets involved through the northern plains. That's that part of that pattern shift. Then as we head into Thanksgiving Day itself, this is Thanksgiving, 40s to near 50 for Nashville, 40s for places like Lexington and Louisville, Des Moines in the 30s, colder than that, much colder than that, 20s and teens for places like Bismarck. Meanwhile, Dallas in the 60s, we've got 60s along the Gulf Coast, and then 50s and 60s along the East Coast. The coldest of the year definitely in the northern plains and northern Rockies and across New England. Then just a little bit of a preview after that as we work into the beginning of December. Notice how the cold air really starts to make a move down to the south. This is a little preview. This is not a forecast, but a preview of this pattern shift that everybody's been talking about. This is the 6th of December, and you can see this is very cold air. This is Arctic air across the northern part of the country that stretches down toward the Ohio Valley. The core of it is up over Canada into the northern plains. That will likely sweep through the Great Lakes with some very cold air the first week into the second week of December, and much of the country will be turning cooler. Now, because of that, the Climate Prediction Center is starting to see that. And so now they've switched over the last few days. The 8 to 14 day outlook has had above normal temperatures across the eastern part of the country. Now for November 27th to December 3rd, now they're calling for temperatures to be below average across much of the eastern part of the country, which is that pattern clip. So the big story is as we go out of November into December, we are going to be seeing colder waves of air. You would expect that because it's December. Is it going to be record-breaking? Is it going to last all winter long? That is yet to be seen. And so if you're hearing anybody saying they know this or they know that, they don't. It's weather. And while climate prediction and weather modeling, especially with AI, is getting better and better, there is no definitive answer yet on what we're going to be seeing as we head into December. But you can be sure that we are going to be seeing waves of cold. It's December. We are going to be seeing waves at times of Arctic air. It's December. And this winter, just based on the pattern, we are likely to see some more polar vortex events that bring us extreme cold. But just again, continue to watch your favorite weather channels here on YouTube and stay tuned to your favorite weather sources. Well, look, I appreciate you visiting me here on Hotspot Weather. If you are interested in severe weather safety, tornado safety, check out my YouTube shorts. Like and subscribe if you feel like you got some value here, and I'll see you next time.